Hi and welcome back. So we're continuing on with my Zafira repairs. My Vauxhall Zafira GSI 2004 2-litre petrol with the Z20 engine. What we're doing at the moment is a lot of maintenance work. A lot of issues with oil leaks, engine mounts. There was a couple of air leaks, vacuum leaks, that kind of stuff. Basically, it was very poorly. So I've ordered all 4 engine mounts for it, which they've all turned up. They're all Febby brand. I'll show you in a minute. I think I'm going to make this into series because it'd be too big of a video to post for the whole car because there's loads of work to be done. So I'm going to post it in maybe sort of small like series. I don't know, 5 to 10 minutes maybe per series kind of thing, maybe a bit more depending on what kind of work I do each time. My plan now is I've got 3 days to wrap this up because I've got customer cars to deal with and I need to go out on jobs, and this is my car that I use on going out on jobs. So can't afford to have it off road for too many days. So next job at the moment is I was just removing a bolt that connects. I'll show you. I think that'll be the better idea. So this is the engine mount that goes here on the left side of the engine bay. So the driver's side, that is. As you can tell, I've removed everything pretty much on the timing end. The only thing that stays is the water pump. And actually, I've just realised, pretty sure I've got a brand new what's that there? The tensioner pulley. I'm pretty sure I've got a brand new one of them somewhere. So I'm gonna have to replace that as well. And what I was just doing is, this is the new engine mount, that's the old engine mount. If you have a look here, there's a bolt that goes straight through it, and if you have a look on this side, obviously it's just a hole, and this bracket here is what that bolt screws into. Now what you've got to do is, it's a, what was it, let's have a look. It says Torx bolt and it's a T55. Where are we? There. So it's a T55 and it goes straight through. So obviously I have to remove that bolt, and it was thread into there. And if you have a look, also it's got like a little pin dowel there, and that should line up with that there. And so you can't get it the wrong way around, so it can only go one way, which will be that way in this occasion. So yeah, that's that. And the rest of the engine mounts are in these boxes. This is the back one. That's the rear bottom one, which sits just, hold on, switch on the light, that kind of helps. So if you have a look directly in the middle of the camera, there's a there's like a bracket that holds the gearbox from tilting backwards and forwards, and that's exactly what that's what that engine mount is for, basically. And the only reason I'm digging out now is because the sump is still off the car, the oil sump. In fact, I'll show you that. Hold on. So this is the top half of the sump, and that's the bottom half of the sump. It was quite rusty. I just thought, just spray it, why not? Not the best spraying job in the world, but it's better than just it looking extremely rusty. So it ain't do too bad. It's come out alright. That's the oil pickup pipe, which has been thoroughly cleaned. No debris in it. Actually, I'm gonna have to blow some air in that just to make sure there is, because I can see a few little bits in there. Right, that's another job. So this is the old oil It's the oil level sensor, which sits inside the sump in here, where you see the bolts. So it then plugs into where is it? That hole is where the actual this little connector pokes in from below, and there's an O-ring on there, and that seals. That makes sure you get a good seal so you don't get leaks, which I'm pretty sure on mine it was actually leaking 100%. So that was one of the oil leaks, so that'll be fixed now. And I've also sprayed the pickup. This is the breather pipe, which is on the front of the engine, just next to the right of the turbo. It was quite rusty. I thought it doesn't look that great even with the paint, but it's just to stop it from rusting further. Just a bit of future proofing really. So that's that, and I'll show you as I go along. So whoop whoop. Right, so I'll just show you quickly the gasket set that I bought for the bottom end of the engine. We're going to use, this one, the smaller gasket here is the lower oil sump gasket. The bigger one, which goes rectangularly all the way around, that's the higher one. That's your rear main seal, which at the moment I'm not going to get to until I remove the gearbox, which I will at some point to change the clutch. I think that little gasket there is the breather gasket that sits on the right hand side, the one that I painted just by the turbo. This little O-ring here that's like oval shaped, I'll show you what that is for because I was just about to use it. So that is for the oil pickup top part of it, right there. You'll see it where it joins onto the bottom of the engine internally, so you have you get good oil pressure. Otherwise you won't get oil pressure, and kaboom, basically it will become like an eco kaboom, sorry. Yeah, so the other few bits I've got, well, as I'm going along, I'm also upgrading some of the things, future proofing. Right, so here you'll see the boost pipe there with the dump valve on it, just there. And that comes all the way around. As you can tell, it's like meant to be silver. Someone tried to paint it in black, and then you got all the hoses. You got all the red hoses. Well, I've gone for all the orange hoses, and there's the breather right in the middle of the picture, the video. You'll see there. That's where the breather pipe sits into, and it comes up, and then it joins onto the rocker cover. Of course it does, which would be normally here, but it ain't there at the moment. So, and I've got that pipe in orange in silicon. I've got that pipe in orange silicon. Actually, that pipe isn't actually there on the new system. It's there instead in the middle. I'll show you in a second. And I think this system that I've got is much better than what's on there. At least it seems like it's a better quality. So this would be the pipe that would go like that, and then you have this sort of silicon thing here where it steps down from there to go onto the original pipe. Not sure. Oh yeah, that'd be for the dump valve, of course. Goes right there. And then you've got this bit, which is again where that's the flange that connects to the throttle body and to the dump valve, to take off the dump valve there. We've got oil filter. I've got like loads of these, so they're quite regular oil changes. And we've also got two gaskets. Well, there should be two of these somewhere. Where is it? Oh yeah, there it is. So we've got two of them, which are for the throttle body. So you've got a gasket that goes on this, which one of these would do that. And then there's another one below, which is on the throttle body itself down there. So I'm going to replace them both. It's more of a preventative measure, just to make sure that it's never going to leak. And also, I have a new banjo bolt for the turbo. So that will do that trick. And it also comes with like some bolts and stuff to bolt it on and whatnot. Not some bolts and all that. And I think that's some kind of an O-ring. I can't remember what it's for, but we'll have to open it and see. And that's the other orange silicone hose that replaces the original. It replaces the original crossover pipe that normally sits sort of. So you'll have the airbox here, the normal original airbox, and it goes up and then comes back down, which is like an oval type of pipe, and then it connects to the turbo. So, but they are very prone to leaking because it's got like this weird oval type of hose, like a rubber hose, and on mine it had sort of snapped in certain places. It corroded and it just ripped basically. So it was just better off. Silicone is always going to be better than rubber, that's for sure. Yes, it's much more expensive, but it's worth it. If you're planning on keeping the car, absolutely worth it. I'm not planning on getting rid of my car, so that's exactly the reason why I'm upgrading these loads of bits and bobs. I've already replaced the water pump previously. Like I was saying, I've already replaced the water pump previously, together with the timing belt. Now, the idea was, at the time, it was leaking seriously amounts of oil. Now, I had thought that it was something to do with, I can't remember now. I had a quick look anyway, and the timing belt was so badly sort of covered in oil, I thought that's going to snap soon, better replace it. And while I was there, I replaced all the pulleys and the water pump and everything else. But at the time, I just didn't have enough time to actually remove everything else and go and do the oil seals on the camshaft and the crankshaft. So I think the whole lot was actually leaking. So now, obviously, I've replaced a lot. So I'll show you. Get rid of that tissue. Right. So there's the camshaft seals, the new ones. And I've also replaced, hold on, switch on the light. If you have a look further down, there's the crank seal as well, which connects, which is in front of the actual oil pump. So that's the oil pump there. That silver casing, that's the oil pump. And that's where you have, that's your front oil crank seal, basically. There's the water pump, the brand new one. You can tell it's nice and shiny. I've clearly haven't replaced this tensioner, so I need to replace that, which I'm pretty sure I've got a new one somewhere. It's the downside to buying parts. And I'm basically not replacing them. And I sometimes forget what I bought and what I haven't bought, so sometimes I buy double. You know, it is what it is. Anyway, so my next job is, I might do that bottom rear engine mount first, and then we're going to start putting the oil sump back together. Start with the lower one, sorry, start with the higher one, gasket on that, and then lower one, and then got to put the oil, a level sensor in that as well at the same time. Connect that all up, bolt it all up, and then that way I can remove this engine support, so then I can support it on its engine mounts again. That way it gives me much more room to actually work around the car. So yeah, let's crack on. Whoop whoop. So I've just found the tensioner, the one that here was one I made earlier, and I've also bought a camshaft position sensor. That's a brand new one also. So the idea now is to replace that, replace the tensioner pulley before we go further, and then do the camshaft position sensor. Don't know where the old one is, but it's somewhere around there, or it should be. There's the old camshaft seals. They were definitely leaking quite badly, so yeah, I'm glad I've replaced them. We should have a nice oil-free leak car. Right, continuing on. Whoop whoop. So just sprayed the engine mount support for the right side, so driver's side. So I sprayed it with Hammerite black. This is it. So it looks much better. It was very, very rusty, especially on the surface where the bolts were going through. It was very rusty, so yeah, just leave that to dry and we'll come back. Whoop, whoop. Something funny just happened. So as I just bought a mic, right? There it is. And I was recording the actual footage for that. Didn't switch it on, did I? So it was just, I looked at the video afterwards, it was just silent. It was me, just blabbing away. Anyway, so what I was going to show you is this. This is my parts cleaner. And as you can tell, it is very, very dirty. It is filthy. So it drains onto this tray. It's got like a little sieve kind of thing in the middle. Hold on, switch on the light. There you go. So there's like a sieve kind of thing in the middle, and it drops into this. And then you just drain it away. Get rid of it. And this it's made by SGS. Very good company. Not sponsored, but I do like their products for sure. I have these dollies that, so if you want to move a car and it doesn't drive, let's say, and you want to move it from, I don't know, one part of your driveway to the garage, or garage to the driveway, or get out on the road so it can be towed away, or whatever it is, this thing is really good. It comes as a set of 4. I haven't got access to it at the moment, but I'll show you. But my point is that it is a very good product, very well made, and I've had it for donkey's years, and it just works so well. So it's like a hydraulic type. You just pump it, and it sort of it's got like rollers built into it, and it sort of raises the car off the ground. I don't know, by about that much by using the wheels, and it's enough to actually move the car along. You put one on each wheel and just move it around wherever you like. So that's a really good product of theirs. I've also got that bar. Hold on, I'll show you. Spin. So this bar, I can't remember if that came from them, Might not have. I could be wrong. Anyway, doesn't matter. My point is that they're a very good brand of company to get parts from, to get tools from. That's mainly what they do. Compressors. As you can see, this parts cleaner. They also do hydraulic presses and things like that. So yeah, very good company. I do like their products, and I've also bought a multi-tool type of thing where you can get for like trimming your gardens, and it's got like a small chainsaw attachment to it, that kind of stuff. I mean, my next door neighbour, the very kind one, she allows her apple trees to grow over my garden, so I end up with loads of rotten apples in my garden, and Zaytin tries to eat them, my dog, and it's just one big battle. And she's so kind that she just lets everything grow into my garden. Yeah. But it produces so much, this tree, great. However, she don't do anything with it. So you think, why'd you have it? If you're not going to utilise it. Either give it to the neighbours or something, or I don't know, utilise the damn thing. Anyway, that's just me ranting away. Right, crack on. Whoop, whoop. So I'm in the process of replacing this bottom front edge mount, and I'll show you how bad it is. Excuse me for a second. Might have previously recorded this, but obviously the bolt's a little bit loose, but how bad it's deteriorated all the way around. It's quite bad. And what that does in return is, look back there, you'll see my exhaust flexi section. So that was replaced by me because it was so bad, it was literally beyond repair. So it had to be replaced. It was blowing really badly. In fact, the old exhaust part that I've cut out is still outside. I might show you that later on. See how bad it is. So I've just installed the oil level sensor onto the higher part of the I'll show you actually. This is the higher part of this oil sump. That's the so the way it goes is, this is the new oil level sensor, which this part of it will sit in the where is it? Yeah, there it is, in this bit, which is the lower part of the oil sump, and this is the higher part. So this needs to be installed beforehand, pushed in through this way, and then it sticks out over here, and then you have a C-clip which you have to push that way, and there is only one way this actually fits. If you look at it, it's like U-shaped, so you can only get that one way in. And once that's in, then that's pretty much ready to go back in. There's my gaskets ready to go, and there is only one way that this gasket actually sits as well. So if you try it that way around, you'll see this is the correct way around. You see every single hole lines up. But if you were to try it another way, like that, you will clearly see that that one there doesn't line up, and that bit there is just overshoots the actual sump. So you can only get this one way. Obviously you can't put it that way around at all. So this is definitely the correct way of installing it, and you'll see every single hole lines up very nicely. Now also you've got a tab here which faces up, so that's the correct way of installing it. So this is exactly the way it's going to go. Now underneath, I have to now install the oil pickup pipe. So that's the next thing to go on. I've just done one side of it, and then I'll show you in a minute once I've installed it. And then there is a bit of a hurdle you have to get over to get this higher part of the sump back into its hole, and the reason is because of the aircon pipe. Now if you don't have aircon in your car, not an issue, but on my car there is, and I want to keep it as well. So because of that reason, yeah, bit of a struggle. Anyway, whoop, whoop. Right, so we now have the pickup pipe installed, which I'll show you. So that's the pickup pipe installed. 2 10mm bolts on the flange, and 2 E10s, I think they are. One on this side and one on that side. Nice, all clean. All the flange has been cleaned up across the block, all the way around, nice and clean. Now the problem child here is this aircon pipe, right? So you got a bracket, you got a bolt just there, you got a bolt somewhere there just on the other side, and you've got another bolt, I think it's on this side, on that side of the drive shaft somewhere. So there's 3 bolts, I believe, that you have to release, so you get a bit of movement in this pipe. And where it catches is up here. That's where it catches on the actual higher sump. Now you can just about see the pipe there, sort of thing. Hold on, there. So that's the pipe that connects, this sort of leads up there, but it's quite hard, especially here. It barely moves, so you've really got to try and yank that pipe a little bit that way, so that you can squeeze the sump sort of this way, and then in, and then push this side over. So yeah, while I was here, cleaned my cat as well, blown a lot of compressed air through it, and put a wire brush all the way around, cleaned the flange as well, so that's all nice and clean. This bit here, this plate, splash plate, I actually cleaned this side with my new parts washer fluid, which is Carousel, and this side I just done with a little bit of a wire brush and sort of with the drill. But look at the comparison, literally silver versus not so silver. So it's crazy how this stuff actually works, this Carousel stuff. Anyway, let's crack on. Whoop, whoop. Right, so we have 12 this size bolts to mount the higher part of the oil sump in situ. Right, so I'll show you. Now we have 2 on this side, there and there, just below the aircon pipe. There's a 3rd one here, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and then we'll go across the other side, 8th, 9th, one on the inside, 10th, 11th and 12th. Now those are your bolts this size. Then you also have 2 really long ones. So one of them is actually already in, but I'll just remove it just to show you how long it is, because it's really, really long. So yeah, just dropped it actually. Great. Hold on. Right, there it is. So one goes here and one goes here. Really long bolts, so don't forget them. And then after that, we've got the oil level sensor dangling, and then once we're ready to put the lower sump on, which will bolt on this flange here all the way around, and there are 16 tiny little bolts that go all the way around, which is much easier really than trying to get this one on. So yeah, that's it for that one. Onwards and upwards. Whoop, whoop. Right, so quick update. I'll show you what I've done. Now the lower part of the sump, oil sump, is now installed. All the bolts are in, all the way around, pickup pipes in, and the oil level sensors just here. The next thing to do is the lower oil sump, which is this bugger right here. So if you look inside, these 2 bolts, that's where the oil level sensor is going to sit. Something like that in the hole, and then obviously actually doesn't have a hole at all, so it sits like, come on mate, stop messing about like that. Obviously got to remove the bolts. So that's how that will sit. Have a nice clean sump all the way around. Give it a quick last wipe just beforehand. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this one. I'm going to go inside and have my dinner, and we'll come back. And so this will be the bottom half of it done. And I'm also going to put the oil filter in the housing, which goes there. Get rid of that tissue. So if I fit the oil filter in as well, and that's pretty much me wrapped up underneath, except for the two. Hold on, let me show you. What I've got left to do is to replace this engine mount, which goes one fat bolt across there, and then two long bolts, one there and one up there. And then we're going to replace this engine mount here, which is the back lower one. So I've got to remove this bracket, this triangle bracket across here to get to that, disconnect it from that, and then I've got to put back the exhaust flexi section, which joins onto this catalytic converter, and then it goes back towards the back box, or it's kind of middle box really, center box, wherever it is over there. And then that'll be this end of the job complete. And obviously got to plug in the O2 sensor here for the flex. It's on the flexi section. Once that's in place, then that's it for this one. The bottom half will be wrapped up, and then I can concentrate up the top and getting all the timing belt in and time it all correctly. There's a back plate on the timing cover, so that has to be fitted. All the pulleys, replace that tensioner pulley that I've dug out. Still got to put the rocker cover gasket back on, and all the boost pipes and stuff. And that's pretty much all that's left really, so we'll show you as we go along.